So again, guys, welcome to the Monday webinar. This is kind of my weekly watch list. This is what I'm looking for. These are some of the setups I'm looking to play out going into the week and through the week and so on. And so I want to cover those, and then we'll have some updates, some following up updates on Twitter and so on. And of course, those that are paying members of the group will get to see the updates every day because we do these wrap-up sessions Monday through Thursday. But the Monday one, of course, is free, and all are welcome to join. Once again, if you'd like to try the group out and see how everything looks and so on, you can go to daytradersfx.com and click on Join Us right there. That'll take you to this page. You can get a 5-day free trial. And you can kind of see how we do and why we do what we do and so on. So we'd love to have you. Okay, let's get down to business. First of all, as far as news goes, the U.S. has had a bank holiday, which is one of the extra reasons why I've been a little bit off the radar today. But usually we don't do much Sunday night or Monday morning. There's just not that much going on most of the time, but sometimes there is. And so Monday afternoon is kind of where everything starts. And then remember, we'll have live sessions Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning, as well as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday afternoon, evening. So that's kind of where we are. Yes, Doug, I've got audio. Can everybody hear me okay? Is the audio coming through good for everybody? I always get curious when one person says maybe nobody can hear me. Okay, so audio and okay, so it's good for everybody. Sim, if your audio is low, pretty much everything on my end is turned up, and I'm getting a red reading on most of my stuff. So that means I can't go too much higher, so you might need to turn your computer up or something, or put some headphones in. That can help sometimes. Okay, very good. Okay, so as far as news goes, let's look at the week of news ahead. Hold on here. We have a lot of news this week, and sometimes this is great, sometimes it makes things a little bit crazy nuts. It kind of just all depends. So as far as news goes, again, bank holiday for the U.S. today, Tuesday. You can see we have German Zoo, it's a bit of a mover. Some Canadian news, nothing big for the U.S. on Tuesday. CPI for Australia, that's always worth watching. A little bit of Japanese news on Tuesday as well. And then Wednesday we have employment numbers for the UK, which is always worth keeping an eye on, as well as the interest rate votes, which is always worth keeping an eye on. So we're going to have some big movement on the pound pairs come Wednesday, so keep an eye on that. Lots of news for Canada, the rate statement and policy and the press conference and so on for Canada on Wednesday, so it should be some good movement. Thursday, we have a lot of euro announcements and so on, some existing home sales for the U.S. and unemployment claims, and then we have, of course, CPI for the U.S., for Canada on Friday. So we have a pretty heavy schedule. You can see that there isn't too many important U.S. announcements until Thursday. So the dollar pairs might be a little bit chopping around, a little bit crazy between now and then. So we'll see how it goes. But we've got some interesting setups. Euro dollar, let's go to this euro dollar chart for just a moment where we've got some pivots and so on. You can see on both euro dollar charts, on this one the weekly pivot was just hit, and on this one the weekly pivot was, it wasn't even just missed, it was missed by 12 pips or so. Remember that weekly pivots are going to be slightly different on various time frames and so on, but still it doesn't make the euro dollar too much more interesting. This pair is still just giving us a whole bunch of nothing. The only thing I see on this euro dollar is possibly a rising wedge on the weekly and daily chart. If we really zoom this thing out, then we have a nice little rising wedge and possibly a run into that moving average and so on. But as far as an entry goes, what I would be doing to trade this is pretty much absolutely nothing. So I'm still kind of on the fence with euro dollar. And by on the fence, I mean I'm pretty much doing nothing with it for the moment. But we're going to have some good setups on the euro dollar hopefully soon. If anything, I would probably be short this pair. If you're long, I might be a little concerned about that if I were you. But being short euro dollar seems like probably the better option for the moment, since we've had a decent breakout of a rising wedge, and we've been staying below the 200 moving average pretty easily and pretty well for the last couple of days. So that makes me think that some euro dollar shorts are good to stick with, but I just honestly I don't have any major levels to watch on that one, so I don't even know why I spent that much time on it, because I don't know. So pound dollar, on the other hand, I like a lot. The pound dollar has got some nice little setups in the works here. It's looking good, and I think we're going to have a few short-term things that we need to talk about. So first of all, what the pound dollar has done, if you zoom out just a tiny bit, you can see a very nice rising wedge. This is as textbook of a rising wedge as you can find here. So the pound dollar has been kind of bumping up and narrowing and narrowing and narrowing, and then it finally broke out right here. It broke out, made a nice little run down, and then this spike up was retail sales, UK retail sales. This thing just shot up like crazy. So that was retail sales right there, which came out much better than expected, and the thing went way up there. Now, here's what I'm looking for on the pound dollar. Here are our two scenarios. You can see these two swing points, 165.15. Let's go to a 4-hour chart. We can see a little bit better. 165.15 is my first area, and 16600 is my next area. So what I'm going to be looking for is I'm going to be looking for opportunities to short against 165.15, and if I get stopped out and this thing runs higher, then I'm going to be looking for opportunities to short 16600 on pound dollar. Now, before I say that, or before we take a trade here, we cannot discount the fact that we have a pretty major bull flag right here. This is a total textbook bull flag. Boom. It's major, and we can't forget about it. Now, one thing to look at on a bull flag is, remember, we've had this big run up. Again, this was retail sales, and it ran up 150 pips, give or take, and then it's been consolidating down. Now, with price projection on a bull flag, we would say something like, okay, 150 pips. So where we're going to project price is not from the breakout. And those of you that attended the bull bear flag webinar that Rob and I did will know this. Where we price project from is the lowest point of the flag. So if we say this is our low point on the flag right here, then we're looking for this thing to run up to at least, what's that level? Let's say that level is 16400. So we're looking for 165.50, 165.45, 165.50. Now, another thing that you guys will know that attended the bull bear flag situation is I like to get long or short, but in this case long, because this is the bull flag, against the lowest point of the bull flag, as opposed to waiting for the breakout. Now, you can wait for the breakout, and that's okay, but I like to get long against this area right here. You can have a tighter stop, and you can get a lot more pips out of this. So I'm going to let this thing kind of trickle around for the next couple of hours, and I will probably be looking to buy for a short-term entry, nothing major, but I'll be looking to get long against 163.95. I'll have stops at 163.90, maybe 163.85, getting long here and targeting 16500. So again, for a shorter term run, I'm looking to get long against the low, the current existing low of the bull flag. But then I'm going to be looking to trade, hopefully, get an opportunity. I'm going to wait and see if a double top happens here at 165.15. If it hits that and bounces, I'm short. Otherwise, if it just plows right through that, I'm doing nothing. If it hits 16600 and bounces, I'm short. The other thing that we want to be looking at here is we want to be looking at the opportunity to watch for any kind of other price patterns. One thing that's super common on a rising wedge like this, you can see a little bit better on this daily, a rising wedge like this is it breaks out and it comes back and makes a double top, and then it cruises on from there. So that's kind of what I'll be looking for. I'm going to look and see if we can get a double top on this pound dollar. Ultimately, my ultimate trade is going to be short against 16600, but I'd like to see it hit around that level and bounce and then get short from there. Very first target, 16200. I feel very confident that we're going to get to that. Next target, 160.50. Is everybody clear on that? So short-term trade to get long against 163.95, and then the next longer-term trades will be getting short against 165.15 and 16600, targeting 162.100, 160.50, and beyond. If anybody has any questions about that, let me know. I'll post the recording, and everybody can watch and rewatch a couple of times. And let me know, again, if you have any questions or any of that may not make sense or whatever. So that's kind of where I am on that whole pound dollar. I am absolutely not getting. I'm not looking for any major long-term buys. I'd take a little. I would take a little short-term buy for maybe 100 pips, and of course that's not painfully short-term, 50 to 100 pips against this 163.95. But I'm really looking for the big sells against 165.15, 166.100. Okay, let's look at this Aussie dollar here. Questions, comments, let me know, guys. Let's bring up this Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar is starting to look more and more and more interesting. We have so many darn missed pivot points, I can't keep track anymore. We have a couple of missed dailies that go back to 17th, 16th, 15th. The weekly pivot for this week has also not been hit, but it's not necessarily a missed pivot yet. We've got to get past the week before it's missed. But it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. This Aussie dollar looks like it might just be ready for some nice entries to start getting big time long on this pair. Now here's a couple of things to look at. We have some big missed targets. We have a daily, monthly, and a weekly at 92.50, and then we've got all these other targets that are way up here, way higher. Remember, we need a good price pattern. We need a good reason to be getting into a trade, and we don't have anything major on the Aussie dollar just yet, sadly, because this thing is gonna be ready to go. Here's a nice little descending trend line, which could be the starting point of a falling wedge, and a pretty sharp falling wedge at that. This is a daily chart zoomed out, but let's look at this. Let's just take this for example. So two points of confirmation, which is just about all we need, and here's our potential falling wedge on the Aussie dollar. This thing could continue to hop around for quite a little bit before it gives us much of a signal for a breakout. Now there's always the possibilities of getting long against the lows. I'm not super into that one just yet. We need to have a little bit more of a reason for some breakout and so on. So we're still in a little bit of a holding pattern. And yes, yep, the yellow is the Knoxville. Yep, absolutely. So the arrows and the reversal tab and the divergence. Yep. So we do have that, and that's something that might be ready to get this Aussie dollar moving away from these lows. Current price, is 45 pips from the lows, and we have some divergence, which is pretty good, and a whole slew of missed pivots up here that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. So that's absolutely something to keep an eye on. Remember that on the daily chart as well, we are now about 73 candles past the 200 moving average. We have all these missed pivots, all these things that are telling us that this is just something's got to start happening here. 4-hour chart isn't too convincing. The 1-hour chart's a little bit more as far as the 200 moving average goes, or about 100 candles away. So just know that the Aussie dollar is in holding pattern a little bit for the moment, but I am looking for long entries as soon as possible. Let's quickly look at the yen pairs, what I think is going to be happening here. Euro yen has made a nice little run. You can see that the euro yen has run away from the moving average quite a bit. We have some divergence and reversal tabs and so on there on the Knoxville side of things. But what I'm really looking at is some of these missed pivots. We have missed pivots right here, daily, weekly, and monthlies all over the place. I mean, just literally all over the place. But you can also see that we have this huge hammer right here on the daily chart. That is not to be ignored. That hammer tells us that we're probably going to see a bit of a push higher on this thing. But here are going to be the levels to watch on this Euro Aussie. If this thing starts breaking, let's go to the 4-hour chart here. You can see some trend lines and so on. We start breaking some trend lines here, and we definitely don't want to be short on this pair. if we get above that trend line. But for the moment, you can see that we almost had a perfect double bottom right there, so there could be enough support for this thing to start moving higher. All I know is that I'm really waiting for about 13700, and I think 13700 could happen. But we might be getting some breaks, and we might even have some opportunities to get long against this low here. I don't know. We're going to see, but Euro Yen is starting to look interesting, but it's not 100% interesting yet. So it's getting there. It's getting close. So Aussie dollar and Euro Yen are pairs that we're going to have to probably wait for a day or two. But I'm still looking for Aussie dollar to potentially make its way up into 92.50. I'm just waiting for that entry to trade the Aussie dollar up into 92.50, and I'm waiting for that entry to trade the Euro Yen down into 13700. So we have some nice trades going both directions. Pound yen, I was looking at the pound yen from a couple of different perspectives here, and the pound yen you can see is kind of, it's trying to work its way into some sort of rising wedge as well. We've got all this, and we've got a very overextended market. It kind of depends on where you want to draw your bottom trend line, because this thing has just gone so straight up. But if we at least just go for 2 tests, remember, 2 tests on this rising wedge, and this is actually about 3 tests, you can see that the pound yen is starting to get to a pretty interesting point. So below probably 17100, maybe below 170.50, I'm going to be looking to get short pound yen. So I'm going to be looking for a break below 170.50. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking for a double top to hit on this pound yen and give me an opportunity to bounce and get short. And that's all the way up at 174, about 174.80. is where that double top is, 174.80. So I'm going to be looking for it to bounce and give me an option to short from there, or I'm going to be looking to get below 170.50. So it needs to get down about 100 pips before I'm interested in getting short, or it needs to spike up a couple hundred pips before I'm interested in getting short as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking at on this pound yen for the moment. I'll have these updated. Remember, this is kind of the bigger outlook and the larger perspective that we're looking for here. So pound dollar looks like a very nice little entry coming up sooner than later. Euro dollar is going to be a little bit of a wait and see. Aussie dollar, we're going to have to wait for some levels on this thing. Euro yen's a bit of a wait and see, and pound yen is not far off. Again, below 170.50 we're short, and against 174.80 we're going to be short as well. So we're going to wait for either of those levels to get hit. I know a lot of people are looking at the Euro Aussie, and this has been an interesting one. We kind of had a bull flag here, and then it's just kind of dragging out forever. And so the Euro Aussie is a little bit of a head scratcher at this point, because we kind of don't have much of an entry yet. We had a nice double top here. It ran down. Didn't take out the missed daily or weekly pivots, which we look for, and that was right at 150. It got so darn close, got down to 150, just about 150.30, and it missed these levels by about 30 pips. But I'm still watching this area up here. I'm watching these highs, which we're not so far away from at this point. We're about, well, we're 200 pips away. I'm going to look for an opportunity to enter off of a triple top or a more pronounced double top. I'm going to be looking for any kind of price patterns to get short against about 15600 on Euro Aussie. Looking for opportunities to get short against 15600 Euro Aussie. What I need at this point on this pair is I need to have some sort of reason to get into this, and I just don't have it yet. If we're looking, again, if we zoom this thing out and start looking for some rising and falling wedges once again, we've drawn some in here, and we have, these are great reversal patterns that we love to see break and move. And so if we look at that as a possible entry, which it may just very well be, then we're going to have to wait a little bit on this Euro Aussie before our entry pops up, and we're probably going to have to wait for this thing to get below about 150, 15300, which isn't super far away, about 80 pips or so. You can see that this is our 15300 area, and this should take us out of this rising wedge. So the end of the month is right here. That's February 1st. We're only a couple days from that, and so some consolidation, some dipping, and so on, and breaking out of this trend line should give us a very nice entry for 150 and 146.50. On the Euro Aussie. So those are still my targets. 150 and 146.50 are absolutely what I'm aiming for to get short on Euro Aussie. And I think we've got a real nice opportunity for that. This is kind of what I'm looking for, though, for the moment. Pound dollar, Aussie dollar, pound yen, and Euro Aussie are the ones that I'm mostly focused on right now. The other pairs, there's a whole bunch of other pairs out there that have some random setups that I'm not that I don't think are close enough for us to even really have our sights on just yet. We need to get some of these movements happening a little bit more before we can start getting interested in them, like Euro dollar and Euro yen. But pound yen looks great. Pound dollar looks great. Euro Aussie is starting to look pretty interesting. And Aussie dollar is starting to look pretty interesting as well. So I'll keep you guys posted on all the updates. If anybody once again would like to join us in the live trading session this week, we'd love to have you, and you can get a free trial for the whole week right there. That'll get you a free trial hooked up so you can see how we trade, how we're going to trade some of these setups that I've just covered and talked about and so on. So best of luck, guys. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. This will be recorded and posted shortly. And for those group members, I'm going to post the notes in the members area of the website as well as in the chat. So questions, comments, guys, let me know. I'm all ears.